Yo, what's up, guys? It's MMA Analyst. Just gonna do another video on this whole Jon Jones situation. There's a lot of different, well, not a lot. There's a few things coming up where you're just like, well, what about this guy? And what about when you said this? Or what about when you're being biased? All right, let's discuss a few of those things. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go down the questions here. I'm gonna look at the ones that have the highest amount of thumbs up that are against my point. So it's going to be really off and just, depends on how it goes. So, all right, first thing I see, King Mo said it best. Jon needs to do what is best for him. All right, I don't know if that's saying it best. Everybody kind of needs to do what's best for them. So if you watch my whole video, I know a lot of people who have commented on stuff. I know a lot of them watched part of the video and then turned it off. Oh, man, he's saying Jon Jones. Well, what about the Machida fight? And they kind of just don't really, didn't watch it. So they didn't notice I already talked about that. So I'm not going to repeat anything. But yeah, I did say already, I don't want Jon Jones to be become a company man. I don't want him to become a slave to the game. I don't need all that. I'm not saying that's what he should do. What I'm saying is that what he did do is unlike anybody else. His situation was he was a main event. His opponent was injured. He was already training. He was 8 days away. So he was training for a very dangerous opponent in Dan Henderson. Okay, so then Dan Henderson gets hurt. They say, we're going to get another person in there for you to fight. And he said no. And then chose to not fight as the main event. Now, Shogun was a champion. I think Rashad got hurt, or whoever got hurt. Whatever the situation was, Machida was a champ. I don't even remember. The point is, Jon Jones was supposed to, Rashad was supposed to fight Shogun. Rashad got hurt. Jon Jones stepped up. Now, it wasn't 8 days, but it is what it is. Faber was supposed to fight somebody. Cruz gets hurt. And then they throw in the next dude. My man. Nova Unyao. I'm getting his name for some reason. Anyways, they throw him in. This happens all the time. So if these fighters were to do what Jon Jones did here, this whole we're scrapping a fight, whenever it was top guys, which happens a lot. Main event, co-main event, guys get hurt. It's not like main event guys get hurt less than undercard guys. They probably get hurt just as much, and it's more of a problem because it's a bigger fight. If a guy in the undercard, he's got his own things to worry about, so maybe he just needs that $10,000, and maybe to win, maybe he'll get another $10,000. So maybe he really needs that $20,000, so he's like, I have to fight, because if I don't fight, then I'm not going to make that money, or I'm not going to get my debut, or the UFC is going to get mad at me, they're not going to call me back. And then main event guys have their own issues. Well, I'm the main event. It's a big payday. It's whatever the situation is. But my point is, Jon Jones is the first one to ever not do what this is. And it's not be a company man. It's just you've already trained for a fight. We're not saying, Jon Jones, you're having a great vacation. Please come away early from your vacation and fight on 8 days' notice. No, you're fighting somebody, and that person can't fight, so we're going to get you somebody else. We'll discuss all the other potential things you guys were talking about with these here. So King Mo said it best. Jon needs to do what's best for him. I agree. Everybody should do what's best for them. And in this case, I don't think what's best for Jon is a fight where he would be pulling out of a fight where most people would think he would win, where he would be the bigger, stronger, faster, superior striker with really good wrestling against a guy coming off an 8-day training camp. All he's doing, Sonnen, is just running and stuff. Just stuff so he doesn't get tired any faster than he already would because he hasn't been training. So the best thing for Jon Jones, in my opinion, is to take this easy fight with Chael Sonnen, where he's the bigger, stronger, faster, better striker, solid wrestling, not better wrestling, but when a guy's got 8 days and you've been training for Dan Henderson for 2.5 months, I gotta think that is better than canceling the entire card, not getting paid for that one. And people are like, yo, other people got sent to other cards. Yeah, but you guys realize, because they were moved to another card, somebody else isn't getting paid. It's not like, a whole card disappeared. So that means a whole card of fighters, whether they are known or unknown, they're not getting paid at the end of the day. A whole group of people who are going to get paid in the industry doing whatever they do are not going to get paid. Anyways, so King Mo said it best. Jon needs to do his best for him. He does need to do his best for him. I don't think this is best for him at all. And I think most people agree. This guy looks like Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks. I don't actually watch thing, but I'm imagining he's an older black dude who talks semi-ghetto/intelligent. Anyways. All right, this was good. Top 5 or 5 thumbs up. Pretty crappy analysis. The fact that Hendo has been injured for 3 weeks and Chow has known all along. Chow setting up the fight by trash talking. Jones, blah, 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 said he didn't take the bait. Hendo's training is different than Chow. Chow is a takedown artist who has great ground and pound. When was the last time you saw him work off his back? What BJJ does he have? Jon Jones is a true champ regardless of the media and my analysis of him. All right, so Jon Jones is different than, Hendo is different than Chael Sonnen. But at the end of the day, it's not like Jon Jones isn't going to be training for wrestling. It's not like Jon Jones takes months off training for wrestling. Jon Jones has a fight coming up. It's against Dan Henderson. Sure, he doesn't want to get punched in the face. Of course. No. However, he's still training wrestling. And he's still going to be significantly bigger and in much better shape than Chael Sonnen. He's still going to have a vast striking advantage over Chael Sonnen. I don't know how crappy the analysis is in regards to ignoring the fact that Chael Sonnen was trying to set it up. That's what Chael Sonnen does. He tries to set things up. Do we know that he's known all along for these 3 weeks that that's what he was trying to do? I don't know if we do. If somebody else knows, then they do. But it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't affect whether or not the fight should have gone on. Also, if anybody can make this fight seem interesting in 8 days, it's the UFC hype train and Chael Sonnen's mouth. So, definitely this fight would have been hype to people. Was it worth it? They had us believing that, not us, not me, but they had certain people believing Tito Ortiz versus Frank Shamrock 3 was intriguing. Of course it wasn't. It's retarded. It wasn't intriguing the first 2 times. But so if the UFC can do that, they can make Chael Sonnen the loudmouth of the UFC against Jon Jones, somebody who he is, just a solid fighter, pound for pound. They could have made that interesting. All right. Everybody seems to like that I said Negrodamus. I did steal that. What else? Dana White owns me. Well, we know that he doesn't own me, right? If anybody's ever watched whatever this is, Dana White is the last person I worry about. So let's continue. He throws Bones under the bus, and you idiots buy it. All right. Well, he did throw Jon Jones under the bus, but I threw him under the bus too. I'm driving the bus. I backed it up. I'm not saying, man, Jon Jones, man, he made a good decision. Oh, Dana said something. No, it's me going. First thing I saw was somebody complain that UFC 151 was crap. And I said, haha, I told you guys. Jon Jones is a clown. He's a clown. All right. So, anyways, Jon Jones should take the fight. Jon Jones should have taken the fight with a person who has unsavory moral traits. That's what this is all about. Unsavory moral traits. So. Okay, I'm just going to ignore that. But he did not cause the whole thing to get canceled. That was Dana and promised to not go the boxing route and have such pathetic weak cards as he did. Okay, I'm glad we're here now. All right. The reality is the UFC is putting on more cards. Because of the fact that they have more cards, the cards are going to be whacker. It's just the reality of it. I've been complaining about this. I had a whole podcast about how whack things in the UFC and MMA are right now because of the oversaturation of the cards and the lack of skill for many of the fighters on these top level cards. So this is going to happen just by naturally having more cards. You want to watch MMA once or twice a month, you're going to have weaker cards. You want to watch MMA in UFC once every 2 months, they can have stronger cards. Simple as that. So, Dana's having whacker cards, but it is what it is. And that's what they've been doing. So, that's just where MMA is right now. It's just the cards are happening more often, and it's watered down MMA. I don't like it, but the only other way to work around that is to have less MMA in the UFC so that they can have bigger names throughout the card, or just pay everybody more so that they can train more, or pay everybody more so that people who have a choice between MMA and another sport don't automatically pick the other sport, because MMA is a big joke if you're trying to make money, right? Because that's the case. If you want to make money, why would you go to MMA? I'll go anywhere in the world if I'm a top level athlete and make way more money. So pay them more, and you'll get the top level fighters or athletes who can turn into top level fighters, or have less MMA. Both of those things aren't really going to happen at this time, so it is what it is. And then, who cares what Chael Sonnen's attitude is? I mean, I don't like his attitude. I didn't like the fact that he was going to get such a quick fight against Anderson Silva, but he did end up having to win 2 fights in a row before getting that fight. So for me, I was cool with that at the end of the day. I was a little worried, but not because his attitude, that means he shouldn't get a fight. Fans equals hypocrites. Often, yes, but I don't think here. Machida turned down Jon Jones on 4 weeks' notice. I already brought this up. So let's get to these real quick. Lyoto Machida cannot take a title shot with Jon Jones on 4 weeks' notice. Literally stepping off of vacation or break time. It's to think that is the same as I'm training for a guy. I'm 8 days away. I'm in tip-top Jon Bones Jones condition. To think that is the same as Lyoto Machida, do you want your second chance on 30 days notice, is asinine to me. To me, that's crazy. And while we're here, I don't need to get to the other one. Let's talk about Shogun Glover Teixeira. It's just as ridiculous to bring that up. Shogun is a top-level fighter when it comes to draw. He is a big draw. He is a big name. Everybody in MMA knows who Shogun is. He's a former UFC Light Heavyweight Champion, PRIDE Tournament Champion, exciting fighter that everybody loves, humongous fan base. In comparison, Glover Teixeira does not exist. So, when you say to Shogun, who makes $200,000 a fight, do you want to fight this nobody? And he says, no, it's because it's stupid. Why am I even being offered this fight, is what he should think. Why would I take a fight with a nobody? Especially, what makes it even worse is that it's a very skilled nobody, right? If he was like, yo, do you want to take this fight with a nobody with no skills? He'd still say no. However, at least it's not dangerous to him, but it's still no. Why would I fight a nobody? So Shogun has to say no to that fight, because what's going to happen is when that nobody probably comes out and knocks him out, what does he do? He basically ends Shogun's top rank career. You saw what happened with Fabricio Verdun when he lost to the current UFC heavyweight champion. Nobody cared that Dos Santos actually had mad skill. Nobody worried. I mean, he was gone. They was like, okay, the UFC wanted to cut his pay in half. They wanted to treat him like a loser. And then they said, well, we don't need you. And then he said, I'll go fight for Strikeforce then. Then he goes, does his things, come back, and now he's, doing his thing again. Congratulations, Verdun. But that's exactly what would have happened to Shogun. So Shogun, business-wise, cannot agree to fight a nobody. He can't agree to fight a nobody who has a ridiculous amount of skill. It's something that he can't do. Jon Jones can agree to fight Chael Sonnen, who is probably more popular than Jon Jones. So it's not even about, we're talking about, Shogun and Teixeira that was not about skill or threat. It was about, why are you offering Shogun a nobody? Yes, a nobody who's been in the game for a long time. Yes, a nobody who's had lots of wins, and a nobody with lots of skill. But a nobody. If they said to Jon Jones, John, we want to give you a nobody at late notice, then to be honest, it wouldn't make any sense, whatever, but still, do we want to give you a fight? This fight's probably bigger. Chael Sonnen is a bigger name right now than Dan Henderson. That is a fact. Win or lose, He's got a big mouth. He knows how to market everything. Dan Henderson's he had a great fight with Shogun. Now he's got this fight here. It is what it is, right? But Sonnen's the bigger name. So it's not the same. They're not even connected. The only difference is they both declined fights. I can't understand how people can't see the difference. Okay, this guy declined to fight. This guy declined to fight. Let's compare them because they're connected. They're not connected. Last time I'm going to say it. Shogun is a main event fighter. Teixeira is an undercard fighter. You cannot ask a main event fighter to fight an undercard fighter. It's just, you can't do it. It's retarded. And if you do, the main event fighter should say no every single time. And you never really see these fights a lot unless somebody's coming off of a really bad loss. Or 2 losses in a row. Or 3 losses in a row. Then they'll say, okay, we're going to throw you this bum, get a win. Because we don't want you to continue this losing streak. And that's what they do. This here was not that. Shogun made the right decision. Jon Jones' situation, completely unrelated. I think I've spent enough time on that. Because, I don't know. I don't even know what you guys are talking about here. It's ridiculous. Alright. What else? What else do I see here? You're way off on this. Jones has no reason to fight Sonnen, a middleweight, with 12 losses. 2 of his last 4 were losses. The only reason it makes sense is Dana said so. You're absolutely right. This makes no sense for a fight. To lose at a middleweight level, and then get a title shot at light heavyweight makes 0 sense at all. None. It makes no sense. They would never make this. Well, they would, and they have in the past. They did with Randy Couture, who lost at light heavyweight, retired for a year, and then stepped back into the cage at heavyweight in a title shot against Tim Sylvia. Actually, they've done it through Randy's entire career. He loses at heavyweight, he gets a title shot at light heavyweight. Loses at light heavyweight, gets a title shot at heavyweight. You can't only defend your titles 2 or 3 times in your entire career, but every fight be a title shot unless you're being gifted stuff. And lots of guys in the UFC are given title shots based on popularity. This is Chael Sonnen taking advantage of a possible chance to, a situation. It makes no sense at all. But it does make dollars. And Jon Jones was likely going to win that fight. And again, it's not, my point isn't that Jon Jones, that this made sense. My point isn't that Jon Jones should do whatever the UFC wants. My point is that Jon Jones was ready to fight. He was ready to fight. He's a fighter. I'm going to bring this down a bit. All right. He's a fighter who was ready to fight in 8 days. Somebody got hurt. They said, listen, man, this isn't optimal. This isn't what we wanted, but we'll get you somebody else to fight. And he said, no, that's whack. Simple and plain. Simple as that. It's whack. It's whack, whack, whack. So there you go. I'm only going to take a few more of these little comments. Lull in capital. Yeah, so we already know like the Dana White is evil. I don't like Dana White, so I'm not gonna say he's evil, but I can't stand the dude. And he is all about himself. So at the end of the day, this isn't about how bad of a person Jon Jones is. This is how bad this messes up for Dana White. So, I understand that. But at the end of the day, this is bad for Jon Jones. And it is what it is. Carson, you may really need to stop with the hate. You don't know Jon Jones on a personal level. Well, actually, they don't have anything to do with each other because I don't know any of these guys on a personal level. So I can't really hate on anybody now. You are one of those people looking for anything justified to hate the guy. He gives me the ammo. I don't need to search for it. It's right here. Just because he doesn't act like Floyd Mayweather, who is supposedly real in your eyes, he is, I see absolutely no reason to attack the guy. He makes mistakes. All right. Anyways, this is just too soft to comment. You would think I was making fun of a, Snooki's baby or something, man. Like, this is a grown man who makes lots of decisions and they've been bad. He's sabotaging his own career. That's what Jon Jones is doing right now. He's sabotaging his own career. So if he wants to continue to sabotage his career, I'll just continue to laugh. whether he wins or loses, it's still sabotaging his own career. So that's that. There's something else that I kind of wanted to bring up before I go, but I can't really remember what it was, and I know I really wanted to bring it up. What was it? Oh, yeah, Jon Jones and all that stuff. All right, look. Jon Jones is an arrogant, selfish, all that stuff. And Floyd Mayweather is the exact same. But don't call Floyd Mayweather a ducker, or somebody who ducks. Don't be stupid. All right? Floyd Mayweather doesn't duck. In the last situation before he went to jail, he said, and I want to ignore this, they want to ignore it, but he said, listen, I'm supposed to fight in June or Cinco de Mayo. March, April, May. All right. Cinco, all right, May. All right. May, I'm supposed to fight in May. I'm supposed to go to jail, though, in February. So he went to the courts and said, excuse me, courts, can I have the biggest fight in boxing's last 20 years, please? And the courts, who often show favoritism, even though they shouldn't, said yes. We will actually postpone your going to jail so that you could fight Manny Pacquiao. I'm the judge. I want to see that fight. So let's make it happen right now, since you were ducking this whole time. But now you want to fight Manny Pacquiao because you look really whack in his last couple of fights. Okay, cool. Let's do it. He sets it all up. Manny Pacquiao goes, oh, I'm injured. I can't fight in May, but I can fight 3 weeks later in June. Against nobody. Against Bradley, who ended up losing to. That's not ducking, people. That's actually finding a way around the judicial system so that he can fight. And that's Manny Pacquiao ducking. That's Manny Pacquiao ducking. Manny Pacquiao actually at one point said he wanted to go for a fourth fight with Marquez. He already lost 2 of 3 legitimately, and they robbed Marquez. So now he wanted to go for a fourth fight with Marquez, or a fight with Tim Bradley, or basically anything other than a fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. So don't bring up Floyd Mayweather as a ducker. He doesn't duck. Somebody with almost, with 45 fights isn't a ducker. That's not a ducker. He's fought a lot, and he's won forever. He's won for as many years as Jon Jones is almost alive. So let's get that out of the way. So what have we learned today? We've learned that 22 minutes or whatever doesn't take long to go by when you're talking ranting. We've learned that Jon Jones comparisons to Lyoto Machida and Shogun are completely unfounded, make absolutely no sense, and you gotta figure out better ways to use rational and reason if you think that they are in any way connected. We've learned that being a bad person, like Chael Sonnen is, doesn't mean you shouldn't get big fights. And, last thing, I said in one of these responses that Jon Jones, here it is, Teixeira is greater than Vera, Sonnen is equal to Henderson. I didn't mean Sonnen is a knockout artist who runs out and has no, that's not what I meant. I was talking about the namesake. Sonnen and Henderson are equal in namesake. Losing to Chael Sonnen, okay, is bad. Losing to Henderson is just as bad. I don't care if Sonnen took it on 8 days' notice. I don't care if Sonnen is a middleweight, whatever. The reality is, Jon Jones is the heavy favorite against anybody except for Anderson Silva that is not a heavyweight right now. So the risk and reward for Jon Jones is always no reward other than monetary, all risk. Because every fight he's in, he is supposed to win now. There is no fight outside of Anderson Silva, outside of a heavyweight fighter, where Jon Jones isn't supposed to win. So it's kind of like you show up to a restaurant and you're like, excuse me, can I get a seat? And they're like, it's full. And you're like, oh, how full? Well, it's full. What do you mean how full? It's full. There's no room for you. Well, are you like over capacity a little or a lot? Doesn't matter. The reality is it's full. In this situation here, Dan Henderson is supposed to lose to Jon Jones. Chael Sonnen, if they were to fight, is supposed to lose to Jon Jones. If Jon Jones loses to either of them, it is the same thing. It is him losing to an underdog. Against Henderson, it's losing to a 40-year-old dude. Against Chael Sonnen, it's losing to a slightly younger, maybe the same age. I don't know. They're both Olympic wrestlers. Dan Henderson's got a better punch, but he's supposed to beat both of them anyways. So I want to hear about how losing to Sonnen would be so much worse than losing to Henderson. The result is the same. You're no longer the light heavyweight champion. You no longer have this invincible aura about you. You're no longer undefeated. It's the same results. So, no, losing to one is not the same as losing to other. Unlike, for example, with Shogun losing to Tavares, well, he was a contender at one point. Losing to Teixeira, he was on the undercard and nobody knows who he is. Losing to Tavares means you lost to a name. Losing to Teixeira means you lost to a nobody. There's a big difference. All right, so there you go. That's my rant for this. That's my addressing the comments here. Yeah, that's it. It's gone on long enough. Jon Jones is a bum. He's the best light heavyweight in the world. He is pound for pound number 3 at the lowest. But he's a bum. MMA is important. Peace. And the Jackson Fighting's whole system is whack as hell. They're ruining the sport. Peace.